You sketch out these massive, ambitious plans for your life, starting a business, writing a book, finally getting into shape. And then you do absolutely nothing to make them happen. Your immediate instinct is probably to blame yourself. You assume you lack discipline or that you just have terrible time management skills. But that is entirely wrong. The real reason you aren't moving forward is that there is a literal neurological cycle happening inside your head, actively working to stop you from pursuing those goals. Chronic inaction is actually a deeply ingrained biological feature of your brain's design. It is not a fatal flaw in your character. In the field of cognitive science, we now know that procrastination has been misdiagnosed for decades. Researcher Tim Pychyl spent 20 years studying why people fail to do what they promise themselves they will do. He found that procrastination has nothing to do with schedules. It is strictly an emotion regulation problem. When you think about starting a demanding project or submitting a difficult application, your brain immediately generates a wave of negative emotion. You feel self-doubt, overwhelm, and anxiety about the outcome. Because your brain actively hates experiencing anxiety and fear, it looks for an immediate escape route. It creates a physical disconnect, separating you from the work so it can eliminate the bad feelings. You are never actually avoiding the work itself. You are avoiding the way you anticipate the work is going to make you feel. Every time you are faced with a hard task, a literal battle breaks out in your brain. Two specific systems start competing for control over your actions. Your amygdala, your ancient alarm system, misinterprets overwhelming assignments as literal physical threats, telling you to run. Your dorsal anterior cingulate cortex tries to shut down that fear, but when you procrastinate, the amygdala wins. This hijack overrides your rational brain, forcing you to flee. As soon as you abandon the project, that dread vanishes. And that sudden, pleasant feeling of relief is actually your brain rewarding you for surviving what it thought was a dangerous situation. Because human behavior is heavily driven by rewards, experiencing that short-term relief has a physical consequence. Every time you go through this loop, you are physically strengthening the neural pathway for procrastination. Meanwhile, your discipline circuit weakens like a muscle left unused. Escaping difficult things simply becomes your biological default. But you run into a secondary problem. If you just sit on the couch doing absolutely nothing, you feel guilty. And guilt is just another negative emotion the amygdala wants to escape. So your brain disguises the avoidance. It swaps out the scary, high-stakes project for a safe, low-stakes task, like reorganizing your desk or watching productivity videos. Psychologists call this short-term mood repair. It gives you a fake sense of accomplishment without any risk of failure. Being constantly busy and leaning into the modern hustle is highly effective at hiding the truth. It is often your brain's most sophisticated defense mechanism to keep you from doing the exact things that actually matter. To test how true these emotional threats really are, Tim Pychyl ran a field study back in the 1990s. He gave university students pagers and beeped them 8 times a day to track their real-time emotions leading up to a major deadline. Early in the week, the students consistently ignored their stressful assignments, swapping them out for more exciting activities. They justified the delay by claiming they simply worked better under pressure. But when the final deadline arrived and forced them to actually sit down and write, every single student reported the exact same thing. They all realized the task was significantly easier than they thought it would be. The extreme dread you feel before starting your work is a manufactured neurological illusion, and it instantly vanishes the moment you take action. Because procrastination is a deep-seated neurological loop, standard time management planners and scheduling apps are practically useless. You have to actively interrupt the biological cycle. Step 1 is to catch the emotion and name it. When you feel the urge to organize your perfectly clean room, audibly state that you are feeling overwhelmed. Simply naming the emotion forces control away from your panicking amygdala and hands it back to your rational brain. Step 2 is to shrink your massive goal down into a microscopic, stupidly small step. Give yourself a task that takes exactly 5 minutes, with 0 expectations of quality. This specific trick works because a 5-minute action is too small to trigger the amygdala's threat response. You are sneaking past your brain's alarm system completely. Achieving your massive ambitions doesn't require removing all your fear, and it certainly doesn't require flawless discipline. It only requires recognizing the biological illusion your brain creates and having the willingness to start for just 5 minutes.